Well, Ontario is like province, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I'd ask you, Patrick. Taking pictures for you today.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen.
I have to beat them.
China is set to become a world-leading consumer market too. There is a huge demand there for resources, consumer and R&D products. From Atlantic Canada to Vancouver, BC, we have come across companies with success stories. You will learn about the business opportunities in China, the economic powerhouse leading the development in Asia. The most influential Chinese military strategy, advocated some 2,500 years ago, that a devious way could be the fastest and most direct route and easiest access to the mainland Chinese market. Thank you very much.
We value cooperation with our Canadian multiplier partners so that Canadian SMEs can better leverage on our respective resources of how we cooperate with Canadian counterparts in building the momentum. However, this momentum will not mean much if we do not have all of you on board. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm therefore so pleased to see all of you here this morning and hope to have your participation in our upcoming initiatives developed for you.
Well, there's all kinds of theories about why. Some people say it's because with NAFTA being relatively young, there's been so much low-hanging fruit in North America that we've been preoccupied with it. There are others who would cite concern over some of the business risks in China. I think there are lots and lots of stories of people who have gone into China over the years and gotten burned through contracts that perhaps didn't materialize the way they had hoped, or a legal system that didn't work the way they had anticipated, or intellectual property issues and so on. So I don't think any of us should downplay the challenges of doing business in China, but China is evolving at lightning speed, and issues that may have caused us not to get into China 10 years ago are probably not there today, or they're there to a much less degree. And it's time that Canadian business started to turn attention to the opportunities in China, more than just worrying and wringing hands about the threats and risks posed by China. Well, I think it can be a permanent business relationship. Anyone who's been to Hong Kong recently will realize that it's a fabulous city. It is a modern, beautiful city, and the legal system, the financial systems, and the skills and expertise around trading and linkages to China are just absolutely in abundance. So you could operate from Hong Kong into China permanently. Of course, there's lots of people who would prefer to go directly into China, and there are various reasons why you might want to do that. But I think that Hong Kong is going to come back as a major gateway to China and a major staging city for doing business in China. We're doing it in a number of ways. We're looking at technology partnerships with Hong Kong. We're doing trade missions. We're looking at how we can encourage Canadian small and medium-sized businesses to get out there and engage in international trade through trade financing initiatives. Education is an important part of it. Computer connectedness is a part of it. Transportation infrastructure is a part of it. And that's all coming together, I think, in a profoundly exciting way in Canada. So it's a matter of everybody recognizing where the train is going and get on board.
Disposable income is a significantly smaller portion of that amount. One must also realize that urban homes are on average three times better off than the rural counterparts. So the success of what a company is trying to sell to China will very much depend upon its product segment and the customer type you are going after. Looking at market saturation rates for products like electronics, fast and consumer goods have grown at close to 40% over the past 5 years. In 2003, China's top 10 cities accounted for 19% of all the nation's total purchases of consumer goods. Over half of this was spent on non-essential food items and beverages. It should come as no surprise that the family child, the little emperor, has the greatest influence on how a household spends its disposable income in today's China. Despite having been claimed as the top rate overall in a surge in mortality rates, the proportion of 60-year-old, especially those in their teens, have been supporting both young and older dependents on the same consumer patterns at the age of 40. Turning China into a global manufacturing base for low to medium value-added goods. Today, close to 60% of all of China's imports and exports are related to foreign companies.
And the second large.
But it was made, may I say, a little easier that subliminally, I think it was clear that they wanted somebody from Canada, somebody who was Canadian, and so I was very happy to have the honor to take up this appointment in Hong Kong, but had me come along, and it's a great honor to be back here. So if I can just take you through a few thoughts. I do apologize, obviously we're all talking on a number of overlapping statistics, so I'll tend to move on from the ones you don't agree with and the ones that have already been covered. So just looking quickly, the folks that I found is really strange that it's, again, just really a startup situation. Overall, not a strong use of any comments. What are the fact of last year? The numbers are striking from the issue. The issue is anticipation. Sorry, yes. We had other statistics which show that we have always proportion of gas obviously, there's huge growth coming, and has been huge growth. It's the trade organization, and that's going to be huge as well. To me, this is kind of, the solution is normal. Those movements are there. It's regarded as the world's greatest economy. It's a small and clean government.
Can we know more about how CEPA is going now for Canada? we can know more about how CEPA is going, because I think one of the reasons we're here is we think there's a lot of potential for Canadian companies to make more use of CEPA. So we want to improve their understanding of it, and we want them to understand more clearly just what the opportunities are for them under CEPA.
In what way?
Well, first of all, it's important to realise that the benefits of CEPA are irrespective of the ownership of the company. So, for example, and trade in goods, a Canadian company doing something in Hong Kong to render that product eligible for the description made in Hong Kong, which might mean adding as little as 25% of the value. The Canadian company therefore can get its products zero tariff entry to the mainland market. So even if it's a 100% Canadian-owned company operating in Hong Kong, just as long as they do enough work in Hong Kong to the product to get that certificate of origin, that's a Hong Kong product. Similarly, with trade in services, privileged access to the mainland market for a Hong Kong company. A 100% Canadian-owned company is still a Hong Kong company for the purposes of CEPA. And therefore, these benefits, as long as you've been operating in Hong Kong for the minimum qualifying period of between 3 and 5 years, which many Canadian companies already have, of course, they're then eligible for that with privileged benefits in the mainland market.
Mr. Ross, can you tell us there are already some success stories?
There certainly are, but not enough Canadian ones. The main people...
So you have to work harder.
We have to work harder. The main people who've been taking advantage of CEPA so far are Japanese companies. Well over 150 Japanese companies have already obtained a certificate from the Hong Kong government as a certified service supplier. That means that having got that certificate from the Hong Kong government, they can take the same certificate to the mainland authorities and demand to be recognised under CEPA as having privileged access in such sectors as logistics, exhibitions and so on. Financial services. Some Canadian companies have cottoned onto this quite quickly in financial services area, but we think there's a lot more scope for more Canadian companies.
How do you think the Canadians will catch up? What will be the sort of main advice you'd like to give?
Number one, study more. Learn more. Do due diligence. The two words that make me the happiest when I hear them are due diligence. I think if Canadian companies really do their research properly, and we can help them with this, that's why our department was set up to help companies from all over the world set up in Hong Kong to do business. We can help them do the research, and then they can zero in how they can use CEPA to best advantage to make a profit for themselves.
So they can step forward and you give them the help and they will reap the benefit.
That is absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. I'd like to know whether Cathay Pacific can play a useful role in bridging sort of understanding between Canada and Hong Kong and China.
We certainly like to think that we have been playing that role since we've started flying to Canada more than 20 years ago. We started with 3 flights a week, and we now operate 3 flights a day between Canada and Hong Kong. And a growing portion of our business is going to Hong Kong and then onwards to China. So obviously the links originating from Canada and coming from China and Hong Kong to Canada continue to grow.
There are talks that we can come to from Canada to various places in China without stopping in Hong Kong. Would they affect the role of Hong Kong as a sort of a place where you can launch your business in China?
Hong Kong is always going to have an important role as a gateway into China, and as more interest grows to come into China, I think there's still a lot of companies that feel more comfortable partnering with a Hong Kong-based firm and moving into China. Companies who are already doing business in China, I think the direct links to Beijing and Shanghai from Canada will definitely help them conduct more business more frequently. But I don't think it's going to impact Hong Kong significantly as a primary gateway for not just Canada, but for the world trying to access China.
As a gateway to China?
Yes, our numbers continue to grow. I think both ourselves and Canada and all of the carriers that serve this route. I think Canada is playing a bigger role, has more interest in developing ties offshore, more so than just the primary Canada-US trade. And China, of course, is the biggest market in the world, and mentioned earlier, we're a little bit behind the rest of the world in accessing it, but I think Canada, as always, is going to have that entrepreneurial push and be a big player.
So you're optimistic about it?
I am, very much so.
In all directions?
Very much so.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
處長你好。你好，你好，你好。嗱，我哋知道咧就CEPA就而家係一個好重要嘅角色啊。係。你覺得即係加拿大人對CEPA嘅認識仲係未夠，點樣可以推廣啊？
我哋其實咧就不斷都喺加拿大做一啲推廣嘅工作，咁就但係加拿大其實係一個好大嘅幅員好大嘅地方啦。咁要真係要全部加拿大嘅企業都了解香港、了解CEPA就唔係一件易嘅。咁我哋其實係盡量都希望可以做多啲有關CEPA嘅展覽，譬如今日我哋做一啲CEPA嘅展覽，其實呢個展覽咧已經喺各地嘅地方做過，喺 Toronto 做過，喺 Montreal 做過，喺 Vancouver 做過，喺 Calgary 做過。咁我哋希望有啲小型啲嘅咧喺 Halifax 嗰啲地方我哋都做緊，咁所以我哋希望通過呢方面嘅工作咧，係令多啲加拿大嘅了解CEPA。其實呢個係一個好大嘅貢獻，因為加拿大真係太大。
其實CEPA咧都唔係淨係啲最大嘅公司先得益嘅，係中小型都可以得益，有華人嘅資金嘅一啲加拿大嘅嗰啲我哋叫做我哋嘅即係同聲同氣人咧，都可以從香港經過CEPA得益。可唔可以同我哋講下CEPA其實有咩好處啊
？CEPA 咧就分開三方面啦。第一咧就係話香港製造嘅產品咧係可以進入內地係免關稅。咁香港製造即係話咧唔理你係加拿大公司又好、日本公司又好、美國公司又好，或者歐洲公司又好，只要佢喺香港做嗰件產品，又唔需要做到100%喺香港做。有唔同嘅方法去計算，但係譬如話20%或者30%嘅成品喺香港製造，你已經可以係進入內地免關稅。咁呢個係第一個好處。第二個咧就係CEPA都係開放咗國內26個服務行業俾香港。呢度個服務行業可以咁講係包羅萬有嘅，香港即係香港所有可以做嘅服務行業都包晒裏邊。咁如果一個加拿大公司當係佢想進入內地，佢只要喺香港係設立咗分公司，設立咗公司，而間公司係過去幾年嘅3年或者5年都喺香港係運作，係做嗰樣嘢，咁佢已經係過年使用。咁當然我哋有時啲公司話我想即刻快啲入到去，咁有冇方法咧？佢哋可以同香港一啲公司合作，可以利用嗰啲已經過年嘅公司係幫佢將佢嘅譬如話佢嗰個服務帶到入去中國。咁呢個亦都係可以幫到加拿大。咁第三咧就係其實TorontoTV咧就係中國好多合資喺香港嘅管制咧係已經係放寬咗先嘅。咁譬如自由行咧多咗好多大陸嘅遊客嚟香港咧譬如話大陸嘅企業審批到香港個時間係縮短咗好多。咁呢啲咧都係我哋而家見到好多中國嘅企業咧係陸續咁係衝落嚟香港，係嚟香港係作為即係飛出中國係面向國際嘅一個窗簾。咁如果加拿大企業想係同呢啲咁嘅比較上外向式嘅中國企業嚟做生意嘅話，香港係好多個。
事實上，好多人話咧，香港咧就係要投資中國，或者向中國即係進軍咧一個最好嘅平台，或者一個獨一無二嘅我哋叫做門戶。你對呢個睇法有咩睇法咧？
其實我覺得咧，就香港係一個好嘅一個平台。咁當然唔可能係獨一無二嘅，但係我哋覺得就係話香港有一個好特殊嘅環境咧，係幫助到外國企業係進入內地係比較容易、比較快嘅，亦都係風險係比較低。咁呢方面都係香港嘅特點。咁所以有啲人佢誇獎香港係一個唯一一個進入內地嘅。咁當然我哋好開心聽到啦。
unique 即係比其他地方更好，因為最低限度我哋知道喺整個亞洲嚟講咧，喺嗰度嚟到集資啦，同埋我哋有最好嘅一啲我哋叫 infrastructure 啦，包括有好好嘅法律制度啦，有保障咧，啲人就放心投資。咁又經過香港嘅我哋叫經驗咧，可能真係最好嘅地方。
我哋都希望可以做到。我哋其實不斷改良緊香港嘅投資環境做生意嘅環境咧，令到多啲外國企業同埋中國企業咧可以利用到香港嘅機會。
同埋一般都對香港嘅經濟同埋對中國嘅樂觀係，你都有咁嘅。
我都係。
There's no magic wand here.
There's no snake oil that you can drink that's going to cure all your problems and suddenly give you lots of opportunities and enabling you to ward off the threat. Get tariff-free entry to the mainland market. About to begin. That is to say, there will be more products in the phase 3 of CEPA that enjoy zero tariff. To be eligible for zero tariff, you must be a Hong Kong-made product. It can either be Hong Kong come in now into the zero tariff system upon application, and secondly, that it's irrespective of the ownership of the company. And for most products, it means adding as little as 25% of the value in Hong Kong. So it doesn't matter who owns the company, and more service sectors will be added.
Finding your partner to your coast in the mainland China. There's a huge pool of entrepreneurs in Hong Kong which can provide you solid support that you need in trade with the mainland China. We have a very close economic of Hong Kong related to that of Hong Kong people in Canada. We have a very strong Canadian Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. We have a membership of over 1,300.
We show a commitment to Hong Kong, and this afternoon Ian McNabb will be talking more about what the Chamber does, but the different initiatives we're doing in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, there's 250,000 Canadian passport holders. We should get at least 1% of these passport holders as members of the Canadian Chamber. For yourselves, you have Invest Hong Kong, you have the TVC, great organization. We take what we did is
we suggest using Hong Kong, a Hong Kong company, is the best way to make an investment in mainland China. One country, two systems with respect to Hong Kong. Typical way by independent and impartial judges. This is something we take for granted in the West, but this is the rule of law is what results in your contracts being enforceable in a reliable way, and this is fundamental for business. The rule of law, including commercial law, 50% tax rate, 50% of the 33%. Chinese domestic companies are not too happy about this arrangement, and the South China Morning Post just today has an article that foreign investors will be losing their tax breaks in China today's